All right, so let's get started in modeling our creative project 2. I'm gonna get you started on building the room walls, and depending on how much time it takes tonight, I might continue tomorrow and just try not to make the videos too long. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is to set up a project folder. For those of you who haven't done it, this is how you do it. I'm gonna go to File, Project Window, and this is the first time, the very first time you are setting up a project. I'm going to click on New, and I like for you to name it with your last name and the project name. So you can click CP, which is Creative Project 2, and in location, mine will be saved in my Documents, my Projects folder, but I'm going to go ahead and save it on my desktop for now. So I'm going to choose Desktop. I'm going to hit Select and click Accept. All right. So if I go to my desktop, you can see that there is a project folder. If I open it up, all the projects and folders are saved here by Maya. Okay. Now, before we begin to work on this project, we need to make sure that we set the project. So under File, we're going to go to Set Project and make sure the project is set to the project you just created. And this way, when you go to File, Save Scene As, Maya will automatically save the scene into that project folder's scene files. Okay. Next thing we need to do is set up our preferences. Because we're modeling a room, we need to set up our preferences in foot or meters if you prefer, rather than centimeters. So if you go to Window, Outliner, I'm sorry, not Outliner, Window, Settings and Preferences, Preferences, and you go to the settings, you can see that we're now set on centimeters. That simply means that each of these square is 1 centimeter wide and long, which is very, very small. So I like to, when model in real world space, so I'm going to go ahead and set it to foot. If you prefer yard or meter, it's wonderful, but I wouldn't choose inches either. Okay, so I'm going to set it to foot because it's easier to calculate. And I'm going to hit save. Make sure you save it. If not, it will not default to feet. All right, so now every single block is a foot. All right, so from this point, you can approach this in many different ways. You could download a floor plan from the internet and kind of go with that. I showed you how to trace it, and if you forgot, look at the Revolve Face video. It also shows you how to place a picture on a polygon to trace from. So, however, I'm just going to draw it freehand, so I'm going to switch to my 4 view, and in the top view, I'm going to zoom out. And with the guide of my grid, I'm just going to simply draw some simple walls around, because all you need to do is to model a corner of the room. You can start, and as a matter of fact, to make it even easier, you can start with just a regular cube, okay? And roughly the height of a cube of a room is about at least 10 feet. I'm going to make mine with high ceiling, so I'm going to have it 12 foot high, okay? And the depth is, or the width is how wide the room is. So let's say it's about 15 foot wide, and maybe 18. And for the depth, I'm going to choose it to be maybe 12 foot. Alright, so this is about the size of my room. Oops, okay. I press 3, which smooths the object. So if that happens to you, press number 1 and you get back to normal. Okay, I'm going to bring this up on the grid. You can also turn the grid off by clicking on this button, but for now I like to work with the grid on. And also go to your 4 views to make sure that your space is actually placed on the grid. Now at this point, you go ahead and delete a couple of these walls because you really don't need them. So I can go to Faces and can delete this wall and this wall, and even the ceiling for now. Okay. Now you can start as simple as this. Perhaps I'm going to make the room a little wider, just slightly wider. Okay, so this is your corner of the room. If you like to start this way, it's absolutely okay. Alright, now if your object appears black, it simply means that the normals are reversed. So you can select the object, go to normals, and hit reverse, and it should be fine. Alright, so if you want to start building a window, I'm just going to go with showing you how to build a window for now. Of course, if you rather have walls that are thicker than the ceiling, you absolutely can, but at this point I'm just going to work with this because it's so much easier than to have walls and have to cut through multiple layers when I make my window. So I'm just going to take this object, I'm going to place it right here, walls, um, capital LYR for layers. Remember, you have to keep your stuff organized in your scene. So LYR means layer. I'm going to click save. And I'm going to go ahead and reference the wall so I can't click on it. Oh, no, I got to cut windows, so I can't do that. All right. So first, by going to my insert edge loop, or you can use the multi-cut tool. Go ahead and go to insert edge loop. And the window, if this is about 12-foot ceiling, let me go to the floor view. So if a person is at least 6 foot tall, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's say the window is roughly around this height, right over here. I'm going to need one, I'm going to make it a little higher, maybe about here. And another one right there. And the window will be this wide, something like that. Okay. Now, if you find that it's too narrow and you need to move the edge, press Q to drop the tool. You can hit, let's see, trying to find a tool to move the edge. Where is it? Oh, Shift right click, slide edge tool, and you can little mouse click and slide it a little further. So I'm going to move it slightly over, double click on this edge and move it slightly down by moving my mouse to the right. So this is the start of my window frame. Okay, from here I can go to my, and again I'm going to turn on my wireframe and shaded mode so I can see it. This time I'm going to go to faces. I'm going to select this face and I'm going to simply extrude. Click on one of these buttons, middle mouse click and drag to give an offset for the window frame. Right. And I'm simply going to take this part and I'm going to go to mesh, extract. Now, there's a reason for that. That's because I'm going to use this later on as a glass pane for my window, so I'm going to keep it, and instead of deleting the face, I'm extracting it so it's removed from the window frame itself, from the window opening, but it's back here for me to use it as a piece of glass if I need to. Alright, so at this point we'll want to create a window frame. Now you can of course go in and insert more edge loops and extrude the edges, but I find an easier way to make a window frame is to use the pipe tool. Okay, so I'm going to scoot this over and I'm going to click on this tool, the pipe tool. I'm going to move it over here. Alright, by default the pipe has, if you look in the inputs, it has 20 segments and has a default thickness and height. If I change the subdivision axis from 20 to 4, it instantly becomes a square. Okay, highlighting the word height, middle mouse clicking, I can reduce the height of this to make a window frame, and also changing the radius and the thickness will allow me to kind of adjust this to make it look more like a window frame. right? Now this point is rotated in a strange angle, so we need to make it straight before we can put it on the window. And I'm going to hit the rotate button, and I'm going to rotate it this way about 45 degrees. So make sure you go in and type in a positive 45 degree, right? And then you have to remember to modify center pivot so that when we rotate it again, and freeze transform, okay? So when we rotate it again, it will rotate properly in the right axis. So this time I'm going to rotate X by 60, and I'm going to move my window in place. Now of course this is not the same size right now. Oops, what did I do? Okay, I think I have to freeze transform first. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and rotate it in 45 degrees, and I'm going to freeze transform, and now I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, and this should be fine. I'm going to move it up. So instead of centering pivot, just freeze transform as soon as you rotate it, okay? Alright, at this point you can go to the 4 views, and selecting the vertex of this window, you can shape it to fit your window frame. So I'm going to go to my 4 views, press F, and I like to put this in wireframe by hitting the number 4. So this is my window frame. I'm going to move it in place, kind of center it. Right click, go to my vertex tool, select these 2 vertices, move them up. I should have made it a little wider. And then grab these 2, move it over here, grab these 2, move it over there, and a little bit wider than the edge of the window. So you might want to zoom in and make sure that you are getting it just right. I zoom in by tapping the letter F. Go out, zoom in, make sure it's good. These need to go up some more. Right, something like this. Now if you find that your frame is too narrow, which is in my case it was too narrow, I kind of over scaled it, you can still take those vertices and move them. So let me show you. So it's a little too narrow. I don't believe that we can change it here. We can try, but let's see. I think it's, oh, we can, wonderful. So I'm going to go back to the polypipe and adjust the thickness, make it slightly thicker, and also slightly, not the radius, just slightly thicker. Okay, so it covers up my window pretty nicely. And then you can move it in place just to have it stick out just a little. Just like that. Alright. For more detail, you can also bevel out the faces. So I'm going to go to face, select these 4 faces, and I'm going to actually, let me see. Let's try extrude. It may not work, but we can try it. I'm going to extrude, and click once on this key, and I'm going to extrude it in slightly. Oh, okay, it works. And then move it out just a tad. To give it an added detail. Okay? Alright. There's your window. Okay? Now to make the bars in the window, you can simply make 2 long polygons and attach it. Or you can take the, at this point I can probably put this walls into a layer by itself and also reference it so I can't click on it. I'm going to cut out some segments in here to make the bars. So going to the front view, let's try the cut faces tool. We'll try that one. Cut faces tool. Yeah. If you click and drag, you can cut the face diagonally across. The multi-cut tool replaced some of these tools, so I don't really want it cut there, so I'm going to do by hitting Z. Going back to cut faces tool, let's take a look at the options. No, it doesn't have the options. So I'm going to use the multi-cut tool. All right, I'm going to go to the modeling toolkit, select the edges tool, and go to multi-cut. Remember, if you just cut and drag across, if I cut and drag across, I holding the shift key, I get a straight cut. All right. Okay, I get that. It's too close. Kind of want to put it right in the center of this window, which is about right there. So I'm holding shift key, click and drag across to make one cut right here. I'm going to hold the shift key again, click and drag to make another cut right here. And some more over here. Hold the shift key, cut across. Hold the shift key, cut across. Alright, press Q to drop the tool. And I believe these are slightly too far, so I'm going to double click on this edge. Shift right click, slide edge tool, middle mouse click and drag across. Double click on this one, middle mouse click and drag across to make them a little closer together. Same thing here. Middle mouse click and drag across. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to do them together because then they'll be uniform. Alright, I have selected those, right? So I'm just pressing Z to undo my actions. Hold the shift key and double click on these so both edges are selected. Shift right click, go to slide edge tool, middle mouse click and drag the edges closer to this one. About the size of that. That's about good. Okay. Q to drop the tool. Click to get back to object mode. Alright. Now, so if you look at this window frame, now it has some faces that we cut all the way through. Yep, there's some faces that I can drag down to make the frames. So I can go to the face mode, select this face. Okay. And I'm going to use the bridge tool. Okay, so come down here. Make sure you shift the shift key is selected, and then you're going to choose this face. When it's selected, that's one way to do it. There's more than one way to skin the cat. You can also take this face and drag it all the way down and up. I'm going to do that so I can show you the target well too. Okay, so let me click right here. I'm going to double click, just click once to select this face. I'm going to press extrude and drag this down for my bar. Okay, close to where I need it to go, something like this. Press Q to drop the tool. Now, going back to object mode, now I can use a tool in the modeling toolkit that we haven't looked at, which is called the target weld tool, to weld this piece of geometry to here. And I noticed that there's some strange things going on, so I'm going to go to my edges tool, select this edge, just this one. It looks like it's sunk down. I'm going to pull it up slightly. There's something strange going on. Right over there I can see. Right there. Okay. So we need for it to connect to, let me see which one. The one on the inside. So it'll be this one. Okay. Alright. So in the multi-kit tool, I'm going to select vertex. And I'm going to select target weld. And I'm going to click on this to this, this to this, this point to that point, and finally I'm going to take this one and drag it to this one. So there you go. Okay? Object mode. Alright, I'm going to do this the same way. Let's see, find my faces. Take this face, we're going to extrude that, drag it all the way over to here. Oops, this mouse pad is acting really strange. Okay, and we can simply then go to the, make sure you're only on vertex selection, go to the target weld, click on this, weld it to that one, this one will weld to that one. No, that's not correct. The face there is kind of lost. I think I must have done something strange when I was extruding it. So if it doesn't look right, just hit undo and do it again. This one is not right. Right over there, I can see that it's not behaving. So I'm going to go to this one. That goes to that. Nope, wrong one. You may have to zoom in. You may have to go to a wireframe to check it out. So this one should connect to that one. And this one should connect to this one. It's not right. Something is wonky over there. Let's take a look. So here's my pieces. And the face I want to connect to is kind of sort of tilted inside. That's the problem. So I'm going to go back to the selection tool, select this edge, maybe move it forward slightly. See if that helps. And then going back to the vertex mode, and select target weld. Put this, weld it to that one, this one to that one, this one to that one, and this one to this one. And there you go. Okay? Alright, so we have a quick window frame. At this point, I can also take my glass that's in the back. It may be stuck to the, yeah, it's on the reference layer. So I got to go back to my channel box, unreference that piece, select it. I'm going to go to Modify Center Pivot. I'm going to move it in place. And that'll be the glass for my window. So make sure it's placed just inside, like so. I'm also going to give these edges a slight bevel. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to use the modeling toolkit. So select the object, go to the modeling toolkit. I'm going to grab the edges selection and go to grab this edge. And I'm going to hit bevel. I'm going to reset the setting. And it doesn't seem to be doing anything. I'll try this one. 7. Yeah, I think it's not working. So let me think what we can do. We can also, this is a little too flat. I'm going to take these faces and extrude that out slightly. Give it a little depth. Take these and also extrude that slightly. I'm going to give you a little thickness. Okay? And when we put that frame back, the glass back, it'll look much better. Okay? Alright? And I'm going to go ahead and with the object selected, I'm going to go ahead and reference this again so we can't select it anymore. Alright, so here's the start of a room that you can do, and at any time you can change it. You can now start modeling whatever you want to go inside the space. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video right now and continue at another time. Alright.